3 blocks away at the Winn-Dixie, there was a tornado that hit there. And here we have this damage where it's about 200 yards of down lines that we see on Medical Center Boulevard, Barataria, and 6th Street. A couple blocks away has the same scene, poles down, either leaning or snapped. Immaculate Conception was letting their 800 students out early because they didn't have power. They couldn't flush toilets. I know St. Catherine and Metairie didn't have power, and they were letting their students out as well. So no real damage that we're seeing outside of power lines and some fences. I haven't really seen any roof damage or structural damage to homes, but there is damage that's visible to the eye that's going to get in the way, that's going to cause traffic problems. So if you can, stay off the roads as much as you can. The fire department's out, Entergy's out trying to fix poles and re-energize poles. So be careful. A lot of power, a lot of traffic signals are out, so make sure if you see those, you treat them as a 4-way stop like we're always taught to do, and just be extra careful today because it's going to take a while for some power to get back on in some cases.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned a number a little while ago. Do you have an update on that? What are we looking at?
About 18,000 on the West Bank are without power right now, and I imagine based on what we see here and what we see blocks away, it's going to take a little while to get that power restored. So be patient. This was an event that is not Entergy's fault. This is something I know everybody loves to blame Entergy when the power goes out because it happens quite a bit, but this is not Entergy's fault. This is Mother Nature saying hello once again in a mean way, and it's something we just have to deal with. So again, be careful and stay off the roads if at all possible.
Now, I saw an Atmos truck here. Has anyone been out to assess the damage? Have they given you a timeline as to when something like this that's more severe will be fixed?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from Atmos or Entergy yet as far as timelines go, and I know they couldn't be out restoring power when there was still lightning and the wind was still blowing, obviously. So they're out evaluating right now and assessing, and they'll get to work as quick as humanly possible, I'm sure.
And when we're facing an event like this, what is the parish's plan of attack, so to say, right now?
Well, yesterday we started with internal alerts that our EOC was activated, and we're keeping an eye on the weather and making sure that the EOC was staffed overnight just in case anything happened. And into today, we're keeping an eye on it. And I was actually just at the government building in Gretna today for meetings like we normally have on Wednesdays, and got caught in the monsoon-like conditions, and we heard about damage over near West Jeff, so we came over here to check it out. And it's more than I thought it was going to be based on what we had heard, but based on what I sat in my car when it was shaking and there was hail coming down the car, I'm not surprised to see what we stumbled upon because of the way that it felt when it happened in real time.
Any other words to your residents as we kind of get through the next day or so?
Yeah, hopefully the worst of it is past. I know there's potentially some more coming this afternoon. This is our break time right now. So if you don't have to be on the roads, again, don't. But I know schools get out after 3 o'clock and there'll be a lot of people out. So don't get stuck in floodwaters. You know, if you're unsure about it, don't drive into it. Turn around, don't drown. Make sure you keep those tips in mind and just be as careful as possible. My wife's already called me to see if I was available to pick up my son this afternoon because I've got a much bigger car than she does, and just kind of make those plans to take care of yourself if you need to, and take care of your vehicles if you think it might be in jeopardy later.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know you're very busy right now, so I'll let you go. We appreciate it. You heard it. Please stay off the roads if you can. He mentioned some other spots of damage as well, not just this one, but we want you guys to be as safe as possible. Again, it's going to take a while for energy companies to come out, assess the damage. We often hear in times like these, they have to come out and assess the damage, make sure it's safe for their crews to even get up in their box trucks and do whatever needs to be done to fix it. So they need to be safe first before they can often fix it. So if you're looking at maybe some power outages, it might be a while because, again, Scott Walker just said we're looking at some damage, including some of these power lines being down. So this is the most damage I've seen so far, and the most severe damage I've seen while we've been driving around. We're gonna go check out some of those other areas that he just mentioned, but be smart out there, guys, please. We don't want you guys driving up to any of these down power lines or anything like that. If you can stay off the roads, please do. Of course, we always tell you guys, turn around, don't drown. Remember, don't drive or walk through any floodwaters. Again, we're gonna continue to drive around the area and bring you the latest information as soon as we can. Reporting live in Marrero, Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
We greatly appreciate it. Alyssa Curtis reporting live for us this morning at Medical Center Boulevard, feet away from West Jefferson Hospital there in Morero. She just spoke live to Jefferson Parish Councilman at Large Scott Walker, who, as he told you, was going on with business as usual today with meetings for today over in Gretna. The weather began to change. He was stuck in his car like many when things got bad, those gusts of winds, weather so bad, the rain there. Then he got those reports of down power lines and whatnot in Marrero. So he got out there as a first responder, as an official to assess. And what you see there, several power poles snapped and down along Medical Center Boulevard and throughout the area there in Marrero. That area without power. Checking Entergy's outage right now for that particular area, that zip code, some 3,000 customers without power. But overall in Jefferson Parish, a high concentration, almost 10,000, about 9,000 people without power in Jefferson Parish at the moment. That number down from about 10,000 some 30 minutes ago. Outages throughout the area too in Orleans Parish and other areas as we're dealing with this weather event today. That wind, gusts of wind hitting about maybe an hour ago or so, but things have calmed down as we get into the 11 o'clock hour. But this is an all-day event. We're looking at more rain in the radar. Let's get the very latest from meteorologist Alexandra Cranford.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, and we're seeing the rain as you were seeing out there where Alyssa was on the West Bank. It is much lighter now for many of our locations, including the North Shore and a lot of our south of the lake spots. However, we do have some pockets of some heavier rain that are still happening. I do think for New Orleans, the metro area, the North Shore, for a lot of spots, and really our entire Southeast Louisiana locations into Mississippi, we're kind of finished with that big first heavy rain wave that we got earlier this morning. And now it's more kind of the scattered rain that we're dealing with through this afternoon. And it does look like maybe 4 p.m. this whole batch of rain may have moved out of here. So we do expect drier conditions later today, especially into this evening and tonight. The green box, though, this bright green box is indicating our flash flood warning that will still go for another hour and a half or so, just to account for those spots that have filled up with water and that maybe still are seeing some drainage issues. But thankfully, our rainfall totals have not been really excessively high with this wave that we've just gotten. We did get a lot of rain. It was heavy. We had some high wind gusts, but now we're just about kind of drying out for a lot of our spots around New Orleans and a bunch of our Jefferson Parish spots, the West Bank. Thankfully dry at this point over towards Chalmette and other spots out to the east, parts of New Orleans east toward the Twin Span. Still some light rain, but where you see the greens, that's pretty light stuff. That's just some sprinkles. It starts to get a little heavier. You can see around Thibodaux, especially around Houma right now, Gray, Raceland, Trevor, places like this, all getting some moderate showers, and the heavier pockets will be in the red. So you can see where it does pick up with that intensity of rain a little bit, especially off toward the coast. Checking out our Plaquemines Parish locations, Port Sulphur getting some pretty decent downpours now when you get south toward Triumph and farther south. We are expecting this next wave of some thunderstorm action to move in, but around Jean Lafitte getting that break, Cutoff also getting a break. And now let's go north of the lake, where of course we got the heaviest rain earlier in the day and then nighttime hours really, and then into this 11 o'clock hour we still have some lighter showers across a big chunk of St. Tammany. If you're on the causeway, still some light rain, but not extremely heavy rain right now for causeway commuters or people getting out on the roads there. And then around Tangipahoa Parish into Washington, we still have lighter to moderate showers, but a lot of spots kind of drying out there too. So this is a bit of a break in the rain. We'll take a look at the big picture in just a second, but I did want to show you those rainfall totals. This is our Doppler radar indicated rain totals over the past 12 hours. And you can see this big swath of the hot pinks. That's about 4+ inches. So this is just estimates, but I just wanted to show you how much our radar has picked up on. And you can see a lot of spots up to about 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. And then it does have a little bullseye out here in the North Shore areas, maybe around Picayune, of near 7. Now that's not set in stone. These are just estimates. But I also wanted to show you some of those actual rainfall totals that we have gotten with the different recording sites that we have around the area. The airport over 2 inches. Downtown has gotten close to 2 inches. This is at the City Hall site I sampled. The lakefront 2 inches, Reserve about 2, and Belle Chase about 1.5. 1.5. And then north of the lake, we've picked up some decent rain as well, about 1 to 2 or so inches of rain. Now, how about those high wind gusts? We have seen some gusts north of the lake, around 30 or so miles per hour, Baton Rouge near 40. And then we were seeing south of the lake at the airport, a 47 mile per hour gust recorded. And at the lakefront, 58 miles per hour. And Peyton and Alexa were tracking when that really heavy line of rain was moving in this morning around roughly 9 a.m. Some samples were showing near 60 mile per hour gusts. We've gotten a few other reports from the National Weather Service of about 60 mile per hour wind gusts from earlier today. So quickly, what we have going on, we have that flash flood warning for New Orleans, and that's just kind of the residual flooding that we might see in some spots. So big heads up if you're driving. They're going to be slick roads, obviously. There are going to be some spots where you're seeing some ponding of water. This is our flood watch that does go until Thursday evening, and this is for these rainfall totals of 3 to 6, possibly isolated up to 10 inches of rain. So certainly got the biggest wave, I think, already. We're getting into our model now. I want to show you what to expect. 11 a.m. Notice it actually has a little heavier rain than we are actually seeing, but the coverage is about the same. It has the scattered rain that we're seeing, but again, this might be a touch heavy as we go forward into the rest of today. This is noon. We'll fast forward to 3 p.m. and it does look like we might be seeing an end to this ongoing wave of rain. And then this is by 4 p.m. Some of the rain moving out by this point, and 5 on towards 6 and 7, we're expecting drier conditions. So we should have a pretty quiet spell for tonight. Now tomorrow, the models have been trending a little drier. So just looking ahead to tomorrow quickly, couple showers possible, but even our high resolution model, the one I'm showing you right now, has us mostly quiet during the day, maybe another wave of rain at night. And then into Friday, we still have a chance for some downpours, maybe not quite the flooding threat, but it does look like we will be seeing at least a chance for rain into Friday, because that big upper low we've been talking about will still be really close to us getting into the weekend. It's off to our north and northwest right now, but then it'll kind of swing in toward us over the weekend. So big picture, satellite and radar, you can see all the clouds. You can see, of course, we're dealing with some of the heaviest rain now moving off into Mississippi. Some pretty heavy downpours just off of our coastline in the northern Gulf. And then also we have some south of Lafayette. So this is another area of some pretty heavy rain and appearing to have some high wind gusts out over the Gulf waters. But Lafayette just still dealing with some showers after they had some of the heavier showers and storms already pass through. So I was tracking the end of it. If you're curious, when's this entire batch going to move out? And from the back edge of that line of rain, you can see a very tentative look. So this afternoon, Baton Rouge, maybe about 1 or 2, Hammond, possibly about 3, Houma, New Orleans, maybe closer to 3 or 4, and then on toward Biloxi, you may see your rain really completely moving out of the area, at least with this wave, by about 5 or 6. So just a tentative timeline there if you're curious when all that might be moving out. Now, looking at our severe risk, by the way, we are at that level 1 risk for severe storms through tonight. And then tomorrow, again, we're at the level 1. So this is a low end risk for severe storms. And we're talking here about the wind gust potential like we saw with the damage that we had around Morero. And we are looking at that chance for a few more of those higher, wind gusts and maybe some hail for tomorrow too. And by the way, if you're stepping out, it is cool. We're in the 60s for most spots. We've got that muggy feel with, again, that rain chance continuing through at least about 3 p.m. and then likely drying out after that. Brandon, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, that cool weather, we'll take that as some silver lining there, Alexandra. Thank you. A lot of our coverage as far as damage is concerned has been concentrated on Marrero. We had our Alyssa Curtis a few minutes ago with Jefferson Parish Councilman at Large, Scott Walker, with snap power poles and whatnot near the old West Jefferson Hospital. Now we go to our Rachel Hanley, who's literally been getting her miles in today. She is now in Morero on Avenue D near the old Immaculata High School. That entire part of the town is out of power. Rachel, what else can you show us?
Well, what I can show you is probably at least part of the reason that this area is out of power. Behind me, there are 2 power poles that are completely down. We are, as you said, right next to the old Immaculata, but across the street from here is Immaculate Conception School. And I just talked with a parent of one of the students here, and she says that they were all told to come pick their kids up. What they have been hearing was that there was a tornado, but obviously we can't confirm that. What we do know is that the kids were inside at the time. They say that it sounded like a tornado. They said, as far as they know, nobody was hurt, and we're still trying to find out more information about this. We just got here. All we can really show you is this damage, these power poles down in the street, clearly some evidence of very, very strong wind, and also all of these kids being sent home early from school. It looks like kind of a chaotic pickup scene here right now. I'm looking around to see if there's anything else we need to be showing y'all right now. Really just all we can say is evidence of some very strong wind here, and we are going to try and find out more information about exactly what this was and whether there was any damage to any school buildings, and also to confirm, of course, whether anybody was hurt. But again, as we heard, it sounds like all of the kids were inside at the time that this happened. So going to send it back to you. Hopefully we'll have more information in just a moment.
All right, Rachel, we do thank you for that update. As you saw in Rachel's live shot where she is there on Avenue D in Morero near the old Immaculata High School, across the street from Immaculate Conception School, you see that down power line in the distance. You see first responders there working to get the power restored. Some 10,000 customers without power in Jefferson Parish as a whole, but focusing on Marrero where Rachel is right now, some 3,600 residents there without power. A high concentration there, particularly when talking about winds, gusts of winds hitting the metro area about 2 hours ago or so. And in some cases, those gusts were quite high, causing the damage you saw in Morero. Also some very high gusts throughout other parts of the community. Let's get over to Alexa now, who's taking a closer look at that.
Yeah, so I'm pulling up our radar product, the storm relative velocity, to look at the winds. And this is from just after 9 o'clock this morning. So this was from earlier this morning, the big storm that caused all of the damage, especially on the West Bank. So this is right before it rolled into Marrero. Now I'm showing you the storm velocity looking at the winds because a lot of people online are messaging us and writing comments and asking, was this a tornado? And that's a good question. And it looked like it's more of a wind damage event for us, more of a straight line wind damage event for us. But I did want to go back and look and advance it forward in time. And this area kind of near La Palco Boulevard, if you're looking at your screen here, it indicative maybe of a brief, weak, quick spin up. The red indicates winds moving away from the radar site, which is in Hammond. The green indicates the wind going towards the radar site in Hammond. So at that moment, maybe around 9:09, 9:10 this morning, there could have been a quick spin up, but it did not last long. It's more, I think, a wind threat that came through because you see those really bright colors from Marrero down to La Palco Boulevard around 9:12, 9:13, 9:15 a.m. this morning. Those were the wind gusts that Peyton was showing you earlier this morning that were up to maybe 50 or 60 miles per hour. Obviously, our winds now are much lower than that. I did want to go take it back and forward in time. I accidentally hit the wrong thing, but I did want to go back again and show you those colors once more earlier this morning. So earlier around 9:15 this morning, that's when we had those really bright colors roll through the metro area, especially for the West Bank. And those bright colors indicated strong wind gusts, pushing 50, pushing 60 miles per hour earlier this morning. And we showed you that at the time of it rolling through. So it looked like it was more of a wind damage event. Could there have been a brief, weak spin up tornado? It's possible, something that definitely deserves further investigation, which the National Weather Service, of course, will. They go out and investigate any of the damage that does occur to see if maybe this was indicative of possibly a quick spin up, but it looks like more of a wind threat that came through earlier this morning around 9:15, and I did want to go ahead and show you the numbers. So 57 mile per hour winds, 56 mile per hour winds in the Morero area, in that general vicinity, talking 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, certainly could do significant damage, just like we saw. So we saw some serious damage as a result of those strong winds, looking more like a wind event for us, but we'll wait and see if possibly there was a quick spin up with what we're seeing on radar from just a little while ago. So we'll send it back over to Brandon for now.
All right, thank you for that, Alexa. And that distinction there, the difference between whether this was a tornado or straight line winds, when you're looking at the gusts that Alexa just showed us, when you're looking at the damage that we're seeing on the ground in Morero, strong winds are strong winds. They do cause a lot of damage. Let's get back on the street now to our Rachel Hanley. She is in Morero on Avenue D on the other side of the Immaculate Conception School. Rachel, I understand that you're speaking with the Director of Fire Services for Jefferson Parish.
Yeah, I've got him right here, and he's going to give us a little bit more information on exactly what we're seeing here. Thank you so much for talking with us. Can you just tell us what you know about what happened here this afternoon?
So this morning, after that weather event came in, we are in the 500 block of Avenue D next to Maca Conception School. There is power poles down with transformers on Avenue D. That affected the power for both campuses at Maca Conception School. The principal, Mr. Marco, decided that she was going to dismiss 840 students early because she has no power at both campuses. This weather event affected the 500 block of Avenue D, where we are now, the 500 block of Avenue E, F and G, and the 500 block of Barrett Boulevard, with Barrett Boulevard having power lines down and transformers, just as you see the 500 block here. It also affected the Academy of Our Lady High School, Archbishop Shaw High School, and West Jefferson Hospital. I was just informed that West Jefferson Hospital is back on regular power, so they are not on generator power. So we had a weather event here. I'm sure the National Weather Service is going to come out here and decide if we had a tornado that passed through here or just straight line winds.
Were there any damages to any of the school buildings here?
So they are assessing that right now. We know that we have some wind-driven rain. They're checking the roofs. The Morero Harvey Fire Department is in a process right now checking the streets that I just gave you to see if there's any more damage to structures or if it's just power lines and stuff like that. The good thing is we have no reports of injuries at all from this incident.
That's great. And I'm assuming all of these, you said 800 plus kids in these schools were inside whenever this happened. Have you talked with any of them or teachers? Have you heard what they heard or saw during this weather event so far?
I have not. I just talked to the principal because she asked for our assistance in the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. The Marrero Harvey Fire Department is a
This is pretty, dramatic looking behind us. Do you know if there is any worse damage than this anywhere, or is this pretty much did this pretty much take the brunt of whatever weather event this was here?
So I stopped at all the locations I just talked about, and it seems like it's just like this. There is no worse damage than what we're seeing right now.
All right, anything else you think people should know right now?
Just if they could stay away from this area. If you have no reason to come here with the early dismissal and the power lines down, just stay in this area. If you need to drive, use extreme caution because of the power being out. I'm sure that we have some some traffic lights that are not working. So just use extreme caution if you need to be in this area. And if you don't, stay away, please.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Robertson. Really appreciate it. So what you just heard from him was that we don't know whether this was a tornado or straight line winds yet. We're going to have to wait for the National Weather Service to determine that. But what we do know is that there are multiple blocks here in Morero that have damage that looks similar to this. There's power lines down, and more than 800 kids at Immaculate Conception School across the street from here are being released early. So like he said, if you have to come through this area, be very, very careful while you're driving because it sounds like there is a lot of this in this area right now. Guys.
All right, thank you for that, Rachel. And it's good to see the gentleman telling you to stay away from the area with a smile on his face because we can report that there were no injuries there in Marrero amidst what is a very serious situation there. You saw it there from the official speaking live to our Rachel Handley. A lot of the damage for those downed power lines, also transformers in the Marrero area, centered on avenues E, F, and D, also Barrett Boulevard, where they're seeing downed power lines and transformers there. And that is affecting schools in the area. 2 schools where Rachel is, including Immaculate Conception School, amounting to some 840 students. The decision there being made for early dismissal as we take a live look at the outage map. The zip code there, we are able to look at the numbers zip code by zip code. About 3,000 people currently without power, so you can make the assumption that it's most of the neighborhood. But the good news there, according to the official from Jefferson Parish, just a few blocks from where Rachel is, West Jefferson Hospital, they were on generator power, but he says that they're back to regular power right now. So that is a significant sign of progress at 11:19 on this very busy Wednesday morning as crews rush to restore power in Jefferson Parish as they work to get to the bottom of what type of winds were these. Were these straight line winds or were they tornadic in nature? Still early to figure that out at the moment, as you heard from Alexa and Alexander. Sandra, who are looking at those wind gusts and what they mean. The good news right now, though, as we take live looks on the ground, is that the winds are not gusting, as we're in a bit of a lull, and so that is allowing for dismissal there at those schools in Morero that are dealing without power at the moment. Also other parts of our area, but the story right now is if you do not need to be in parts of Marrero, Avenues E, Avenue F, Avenue D, Barataria Boulevard, stay away, as officials are saying right now. They are dealing with downed power lines, downed transformers, traffic lights not working, and crews rushing to fix all of that right now. We do want to get back to our Rachel Handley, who is speaking now to Jefferson Parish Councilman Dino Bonanno, who does represent that area there. Rachel, hello to you yet again.
Hello. Yeah, no, we're getting lucky because we got here right as a lot of parish leaders started showing up and being able to assess these damages. So right away we were able to get a lot more information about what was happening here. As you said, right here we have Parish Councilman Dino Bonanno. Mr. Bonanno, what can you tell us about what happened here and on these other blocks of Marrero?
So apparently we either had a small tornado or straight line winds that came through and hit the area immediately adjacent to Barataria Boulevard and took down power poles from Immaculate Conception School all the way down to West Jefferson Hospital. So we have different sections of Barataria right now closed off because we have numerous poles down. And so we're out assessing that now. We don't know if there's any damage to anybody's homes. That's the next phase. Right now we're trying to get everybody safe. We're telling everybody, please stay off the street. I witnessed some cars just a minute ago go around and come out of a side street on the Barataria right near power poles. And while we're pretty confident that de-energized, you never know for sure. So please stay away from the area.
Is there anything else you think people in this area should know right now? I know we still have some power outages around here. Any other driving hazards?
Well, you know, as we go out throughout the day, we're going to have more lines of rain come through. So please stay home if you can. Don't drive through any flooded streets. And by all means, stay away from down power poles. You know, energy is going to be out here throughout the day, picking up these power poles and doing what they can to restore power. But the last estimate I heard was 18,000 people without power in Jefferson Parish. So we do still have a significant amount of people without power. Stay home and stay away from these areas, and don't drive if you don't have to.
And I know Mr. Robertson had mentioned that his office has not had any reports of injuries yet. Have you also not had any reports of injuries?
We have not had any reports of injuries. Like I said, we're going to have our damage assessment teams going out throughout the day through these areas and looking at it. But as we stand right now, we don't have any report of injuries, and the hospital is not on backup generators. So the hospital still remains on full electrical power from energy.
And as those damage assessments are completed, where can people go for updates on driving conditions and power outages, damages, that kind of thing?
You can go to the Jefferson Parish website to our emergency management department, or you can call emergency management at 349-5360, and we have operators standing by can actually answer questions for you.
Anything else you think people should know?
No, we're going to be doing this throughout the day today. Just be paying aware, be weather aware, we call it, and watch what's going on. Tune on your news and watch, and they'll tell you whether or not you're going to be in danger in your particular area.
All right, thank you so much, Councilman Bonanno. As he said, the main story here is no reports of injuries so far. We're very glad to hear that. He mentioned we are going to be getting more rain throughout the day, so you definitely want to be cautious as you're driving around here, especially with all of these power lines down. Hopefully we should have an update on those power outages soon for all the people that live in this area. He said something like 18,000 people without power in Jefferson Parish right now, so that will probably be what we're looking for next, and for any updates on the damage assessments on this stretch of these several blocks in Morero where we're seeing these damages.
Rachel, I want to keep you up just real quick. I know we're dealing with some early dismissal there from the school. You mentioned a little over 840 students between those two campuses. How do parents look? Any of them say anything? I know that you've been busy with officials, but if you can gauge their temperament from where you stand, if you can.
You know, I actually talked with a couple of them before we got closer to the school.
Yeah.
And they seem a little bit frazzled. They say that, you know, whenever I asked if anyone was hurt, they said nobody was hurt as far as they know, but their kids were pretty shaken up because they said it was very loud. I know for at least one of these schools or grade levels here, a lot of students were together inside the church whenever this happened. And so they were all together. It apparently left a pretty big impression on some of these kids. The parents, you know, they seemed relatively okay. People are not seeming to be hurrying away from the scene, but as I mentioned before, it was, you know, a little chaotic. I mean, this is more than 800 kids, and we were seeing a lot of, you know, a lot of parents, a lot of lions, a lot of yelling and kind of trying to get everybody in order. But right now it seems like everything has calmed down a little, and most of the kids we were seeing earlier do seem to be gone. So it looks like things have calmed down a little bit.
All right, Rachel Hanley doing a stellar job out there, keeping us up to speed on developments as they break here in Morero. As you can see, Rachel speaking to multiple officials from Jefferson Parish, from Scott Walker to Dino Bonanno, and they all point to what seems to be a significant wind event in Morero, knocking out power to thousands, also causing early dismissal at least 2 schools. West Jefferson Hospital without power for a bit, but now no longer functioning on generator power. The lights, full electricity back on over there. So that is a sign of progress. Another good sign here. While this was a very scary morning, particularly for those students who started their school day, we don't have any reports of any injuries. So that is the thank goodness here. Lots of cleanup, though, because that wind came through quite quickly this morning on all sides of the river. Want to get to our Paul Murphy now, who is on the east bank. He's on St. Ferdinand, where, Paul, I understand there is some cleanup underway, some downed trees.
Yeah, Brandon, we're starting to get reports from across the area about fallen trees and then some isolated fallen power lines as well. We're in the 3200 block of St. Ferdinand in the Desire neighborhood, where it appears a large oak tree came down during the storm this morning when that heavy line of thunderstorms came through. We're talking with Michael Gilbert. His house was unfortunately hit by the tree. Michael, tell me about what happened here.
Well, when I was at work and I had got a phone call from my wife, and she told me, hey, the tree didn't fall down. And I was like, I just left work. I came here. One half of the tree was on the house, the other half was in the street. So the city came and they said, well, we can only take the part that's in the street. And that was a concern to me, because it was like, well, why are you just not going to take the rest of the tree? So I was
talk about what happened this morning. Did your wife call you and tell you that a tree came down?
Yes, she called me and told me. She said the tree came down. I was nervous. I was at the job. So she said the tree came down, and I said, well, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm okay. So I hurried up and rushed home. When I saw the pictures of the tree, it just scared me, and I rushed home.
And now you have Parks and Parkway, it looks like, clearing at least a portion of this tree.
Right.
It looks like the tree also damaged your fence, and
yes.
And you have some roof damage too as well, right?
Yes, I have roof damage, and it damaged my fence.
And as far as you can tell, this is the only damage in this neighborhood?
Yeah, when I drove up, this was the only damage that I seen.
And it appears, if you look, Caleb, if you can zoom in into the tree, you can see that the whole inside of the tree was eaten out somehow, hollowed out by termites or what have you, right?
Yes, and the city had marked the tree with a blue X a long time ago, because I've been staying in this neighborhood since 2015. So the tree was been supposed to be cut down. They just ain't never come cut it.
So nobody injured though, right?
Nobody injured, thank God.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Again, we are starting to hear some reports across the area of trees that have fallen down. We've heard some trees are down in the Uptown area. Some trees are down in Araby and St. Bernard Parish, and this may be just very strong winds pushing down trees that have been weakened over the years, such as this one right here. But again, here in the Desire neighborhood in the 3200 block of Ferdinand, a large oak tree down in Michael's front yard. Back to you, Dick. Brandon.
Thank you, Paul. We're happy that Mr. Michael is okay and that his wife is safe too. A lot of people presumably making that phone call that there was an emergency. Trees down, power lines down, power poles down on both the East Bank and West Bank. Paul Murphy joining us live from the Desire area, where cleanup is underway after that tree did fall onto that gentleman's home. But on the West Bank, we're also seeing some significant wind damage too, particularly in Marrero, where our team coverage continues. Let's get to our Alyssa Curtis. She's at the West Bank Expressway in Robinson Avenue with a look at everything there, Alyssa.
Yeah, Brandon, we drove up to a honestly stunning picture. Take a look at this. This tree completely fell onto this house right off of West Bank Expressway and Robinson Avenue. The Morero Fire Department is parked out here right in front of the house. I was able to speak with some of the firefighters, and they told me they are waiting for code enforcement to be able to begin the process of removing the tree from the house. Of course, they say this is going to be a really tedious process. You have to make sure there's no power lines and other dangers in the way before you are able to really get in there. I did see a Jefferson Parish department truck drive by with their lights on, and I was thinking they were going to stop here, but they kept driving. There must be another area nearby that also needs some assessment, some damage assessment. So I'm sure this is not the only area that has some sort of damage. I'm also seeing on the next street over, there's a gentleman it's seeming like he's picking up some damage and debris in his yard as well. So I'm going to go check that out after. But this is just absolutely shocking. When we drove up to it, my face was just absolutely stunned. I asked the firefighters, I said, was anyone home at the time? Is anyone home right now? They say that the people who were in this house are safe. They're not home right now at the moment, but everyone is safe. So that is really great news, because this looks like it's did some severe damage to this side of the house. And it seems like the tree broke off on certain branches in certain areas, because it's really in pieces right now. It wasn't just one fall or one kind of topple over in one swift movement. It looks to me as if this tree might have started to break apart during, I don't know if this happened last night or early this morning, but sometime overnight in these storms. Again, we're hearing everyone is safe, so that is truly the most important thing right here, right now. The fire department, of course, tells me it's going to take a while to get to this and to even begin the process of assessing this and mitigating the damage here. They tell me it's going to be a while, not just because of this situation, but what they're seeing all across the parish. They say he told me point blank, he goes, it's a mess. It is a mess, and that's actually absolutely what we're seeing. Not only right here on this street, but at the building right next to me here, it looks like some of the roof may have been torn off as well. There's some damage to this roof, which I believe seems to have happened again in those storms. It's also starting to rain again, as you likely can see. So it's going to be a long day of cleanup, assessment. They also need the energy companies to come out and tell them if it's safe and to assess if there's any down lines. So again, this is extreme damage, but as I'm hearing, there's a lot of other damage around the area too. So if you're seeing anything around your house, please be patient. There's a lot that they need to get to. For now, reporting live in Marrero, Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
All right, we do appreciate it, Alyssa. About 1 mile east from where Alyssa is our Rachel Hanley, who continues to stand by at Immaculate Conception School. Rachel, you're joined now by the principal who made the decision to dismiss students early.
Yeah, Brandon, we're very lucky that we ran into her, because up until now we talked with a couple of parish officials who are working on assessing damage, but this is Kim DeMarco. She's the the principal of Immaculate Conception School, and she was actually at the school whenever this happens. So, Ms. DeMarco, can you just explain to me what you saw and heard whenever this weather event was going on?
Sure. So we have about 840 students here at ICS, and half of our students was in church at the time. I was with that half, and the other half was, we have a pretty broad, expansive campus, was spread out around the campus. And during the time when it was the worst, in church, the lights were flickering, and we had the wind thrashing against the doorways and the windows, and we could hear the storm outside. The students were really getting freaked out, and so we just kind of carried on, and I was staying in touch with this side of campus. And in the middle of all of it, we did lose power. We lost power to all of our school. We kept power in the church, but and then we also have a lift station on our campus. So at that point, without power, we could not flush the toilets and stuff like that. So we had to go to a dismissal, an emergency dismissal. But all the children were safe. We stayed indoors during that time. Luckily, we're able to, through our communication system, we have a text blast system, we were able to start communicating with parents right away and let them know. At first, we asked parents to please stay put, that everyone was safe. And then when we realized we were not getting power up because of the damage around our campus with power lines down and all, we then went to a dismissal mode, but we did have to adjust our dismissal. We dismiss in 3 different places all along Avenue B, on Avenue C, and Avenue D. So due to the power lines coming down on Avenue D, we had to adjust our Avenue D dismissal, but luckily we were able to communicate that through our parents through text blast. So even though it was chaotic, I believe it went very well and very quickly. We still have students here, and we've let our parents know we're staying as long as it takes for them to get to us. And so that was it. And we do have some damage,
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because we hadn't been sure up to this point whether there was any damage to the school itself or just the surrounding neighborhood. Can you tell us more about the specifics of that damage?
Sure. So we know this is a brand new roof on this building, and some of it has lifted. So we know the winds were very strong around here, and our office staff that was in this building and some of our students that were in this building were really getting a lot of that hard wind. But so we had that damage, and we also had some water intrusion throughout the entire school here and there, and we were thinking that was the wind blowing the water in, but our staff will begin assessing and see if some of our other roof areas were damaged or lifted. Yeah.
When's the last time the school dealt with damage of this caliber?
We actually had pretty bad damage for Hurricane Ida, and were shut down for quite some time. A lot of extensive roof damage that we had to have repaired, and a lot of damage due to water intrusion. So Ida was pretty bad for us. So we've lived through that. And Katrina and all that.
So that's how you will get through this one. And I want to ask about the kids too, because you say there's water coming in, roofs are lifting off, wind is howling outside. What were the kids like after this? Were they panicking, or did they seem pretty stoic about it?
Well, we did actually have some students crying, which is understandable. And we had 1 or 2 students in church that were really, very anxious, and, we had to calm them down. And but all in all, I would say, we have a great staff, a great faculty, and they were great with calming the students and working through it. And so all in all, I mean, they were scared, but the students did great too. Listen to our directives, and everyone just pulled together and worked together. And so I think that's what makes things like this able to, we're able to survive them and laugh about them. I think we have to always keep a sense of humor, because we just never know what the next day is going to bring, so.
Very, very true. And speaking of the next day, I know it's early, but do you have any idea whether the school will be able to reopen tomorrow?
I really don't know right now. I think our Archdiocese of New Orleans does a very good job of communicating and staying in touch. I'm sure I'll be in touch with my superintendent, and we'll all stay in touch and watch the weather and make that call, but I don't know what it is at this point, because I haven't been able to, leave and check on all that yet or see what the weather's going to do. Maybe you could tell me. I don't know.
Wish we could predict that with certainty.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Marco. We really appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
Very much. Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's what we just learned from the principal of Immaculate Conception School here. Again, no students injured. Sounds like some of them were kind of rattled. Some damage to the building. We did not know that before. It sounds like there is pretty widespread, but maybe not too serious damage to a lot of the buildings on this campus. We're going to have to wait for the assessment of that too. And also, as she said, we still don't know at this point whether the school will be able to reopen tomorrow.
Yeah, Rachel, thank you so much for that. Ms. DeMarco pointing to what she said was some damage to the roof there. She said those winds came in quite heavily. She said the last time that they got significant damage was Ida. That roof, in fact, she says was new. And so it seems that the winds were just so strong there that they have wreaked havoc on both of their campuses, on both sides of the street there at Immaculate Conception School. But you send your child to school knowing that Teachers, staff, administrators will make sure that they are safe, and based on what we've seen, the story unfold live here on WWL Louisiana in our Rachel Hanley's live reporting there. The administration over at Immaculate Conception School did just that. Those winds picking up just as the school day was set to begin this morning into the 8 and 9 o'clock hours. Some children in church, some children in the classrooms. A lot of children rattled, though, by what they heard, and outside of the window, what they saw. Power lines snapped in half there along the street, and then the building going in black because the power was out. As we do take a look at the power outages there in the area, according to the outage map, high concentration on the west bank of Jefferson Parish, particularly that zip code where our Rachel Hanley is reporting, where our Alyssa Curtis is reporting. Some 3,700 customers still without power there alone. Once you broaden out the scope to look at Jefferson Parish as a whole, we are looking at some 8,000 customers without power. That number is down from 10,000 not too long ago. So that is the good news as we take a look at the outages on one side of the screen and we take a look at the reason why on the other. Power lines there in the middle of the street, knocked down by powerful winds, gusts of 30 miles per hour in some parts of our area. The lakefront, of course, there coming off of the lake, some 50 mile per hour wind gusts. But another picture now, as we look at the conditions, you don't see any wind. So that is good. And what that allows for right now is what you see on the ground in Morero. First responders there tending to the situation, assessing buildings to see what type of damage may be there in the schools and other areas, houses and whatnot. Also making sure that places that provide first care to people are okay, particularly West Jefferson Hospital. Again, we told you that power was knocked out there at a bit and they had to go to generator power, but now at 11:40 this Wednesday, we can tell you, according to officials there on the ground in Jefferson Parish, that the hospital is now back to functioning on the electrical grid, so that is good news as crews do work to restore things to normal in parts of Jefferson Parish, particularly at Marrero, where some strong winds hit this morning. Officials still working to find out if they were tornadic in nature or straight line winds. But as we've told you in our extensive coverage of weather events here, it doesn't matter whether it was a tornado or straight line. If it was strong and it caused damage, well, it's strong enough to do just that. Also, we've talked in the past to Peyton a lot about this and what seems to be a frequency of confirmed tornadoes. And it's not that exactly as much as it's the technology that has gotten better, can track the wind much better. So you're able to see what does count as a tornado and what counts as a straight line wind there. Gives officials a better idea of what they're doing as they go in to assess it. With that, we continue to assess the damage left behind. A new video coming into our newsroom right now of how things looked in the thick of it all in Morero this morning as those significant wind gusts and rain pummeled the area. A viewer sending us this video a little while ago, and with that we do invite you to send us what you saw throughout the day and what you continue to see here to our team at WWL. Presumably some damage there left behind, but the wind not strong enough just yet as you see it knocking over the awning there, not blowing any of the furniture. So that is some good news, though. Goodness gracious, very much so scary as near blackout conditions from the wind and the rain from earlier this morning. A viewer sending us this video from conditions a couple hours ago. The good news now, though, is that the wind has subsided. There is a bit of a lull, but again, as we tell you, this is a weather impact alert day as we continue to track the potential for some extreme weather conditions. Meteorologist Alexa Trishula has the very latest on that.
Yeah, actually looking back a little while ago, we did see those strong wind gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour in the Marrero area. So looking at our storm velocity, you get a radar estimate of the wind speeds just before 9:15 this morning. This is in Morero, where we've had reported gusts, at least looking at our radar data, over 60 miles per hour in a few spots. So 50 to 60 mile per hour winds will do some serious damage like we saw. So it's looking more like this was a straight line damage for us that we saw from around just about 9:15 this morning. It's possible there could have been a quick spin up tornado right out ahead of that line of storms that pushed in, but it looks more indicative of a straight line wind event for us. But no matter what, just like Brandon said, and like we always say, does it matter if it's a tornadic wind or a straight line wind? No, if it does damage, it does damage. It's a problem. So currently we're still seeing some heavier showers across the region, and we're going to continue to see more rain and storms going into the afternoon hours. So a current look at what's happening on our radar: heavier downpours filling in across all of the South Shore. The winds have really subsided, so the storms that we're seeing now are just giving us some heavier downpours in a few pockets really down the bayou. For Lafourche Parish and Terrebonne Parish, from Thibodaux to Houma, we've got some heavier downpours. Stronger storms are happening offshore south of Plaquemines Parish. Some heavier rain though for Buras, some steady and soaking showers that are moving towards the west bank, though there are some areas across the city of New Orleans that are dry at the moment, but then you'll see some rain filling in shortly. So we'll have waves of rain, and some of it heavy going into the early part of the afternoon, especially for our coastal spots and down the bayou. On the North Shore, the rain is not as prevalent. We've got some little rain showers happening across parts of St. Tammany Parish, near Covington and into Washington Parish, but not as much rain for the North Shore now. But we have some steady and soaking showers across South Mississippi. The heavier rain is off to the west and is moving eastward. So the heavier showers that are happening across the bayou parishes will continue to move to the east-northeast and bring us some more heavier rain and stronger storms into the early afternoon. Now, the strong storm risk looks to be pretty localized. We could see frequent lightning in some of these storms closer to the coast, and some gusty winds in addition to that for our coastal spots. But I think the biggest thing to watch will be for those heavier downpours into the early afternoon that could exacerbate maybe some flooding concerns for parts of the metro area. So make sure you're still being vigilant on the roads, driving carefully, taking it easy out there. By this evening, the showers look to subside, but we are planning for some more rain in the coming days, especially on Friday, where we could be tracking some more heavier rain later this week. So at this point, we do want to go ahead and kind of talk about what's to come. I can walk you ahead with precision cast. First, I want to show you the current winds. Not really a problem now. Wind speeds sustained 10 to 15 miles per hour. We could get occasional gusts with the storms, maybe up to 20, 25 miles per hour. So the wind problem has subsided. It's more of a heavier rain issue that'll continue into the next few hours. So this is just after about lunchtime, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Still dealing with some heavier downpours, and some storms will continue until about 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon.